I'm really pumped up right now. I just want you to know, like and you're not trying to do that, but I just am because number one, if we stopped now, like already so many things people can do. Like you can start creating your plan right now, guys. You can start looking into how to become a more effective leader. You can start becoming a steward of your own wealth. I think that's so important. And not a lot of people talk about it. It's just the reality. I can't imagine what the stat is, but the last time I checked, like 70 to 80% of America has less than $5,000 in a separate account that they can
Oh
go to
yes.
if they
No,
need
it's
it.
a lot less than that. Actually, for emergency funds when pandemic hit was $400. So of course everybody went into panic mode and stressed out. And that's just the basics of kind of what I teach is how to overcome the overwhelm. So many people, even if they aren't in a bad financial situation, they're still really overwhelmed with like, where do I even start? And then when they do start, then it's like, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff that I had to learn that I didn't even know about. And so it's really difficult. I think for business owners, for entrepreneurs, and even employees right now, they're feeling it too. Like, I want a better quality of life. I don't want to go back to work right now and, have be at the mercy of a boss or the economy anymore.
Yeah.
They're just overwhelmed and they want a better way. And so that's kind of like the main things I'll do first is just how to overcome that overwhelm, how to simplify your life in a way that you're focusing on things that are bringing you success and joy and happiness and the life that you want, the person that you want to become.
Yeah. I love that 4F framework.
Yeah.
Incredible. And before I ask you where people can go grab the book, where people can follow you, let's say you're talking to Joe Smith and
Yeah.
Joe says, Jamie, this sounds amazing, but I feel that I'm lacking in most of those areas. I'm lacking in faith, family, finances, and fitness. Jamie,
Yeah.
where would you recommend I begin? I know it's a big question, but what would you recommend to
It's
Joe
actually
Smith?
pretty simple. I had a gal that I was coaching who she's a hard worker. She was a single mom actually of two little girls, and she kind of was in that situation where she's good and she's working hard and she was doing all right, but she wanted so much more. So she was like frustrated and she felt like every one of those areas was like just a really big overwhelming job to get going. So where do I start? And I just said, like, girl, like if, and it was probably like mid-year, and I'm like, look, if I had a magic wand or you had a magic wand and we could wave that magic wand and everything you touch turned to gold, and best case scenario happened in your business life, in your relationships, so you're looking for a man, right? And like in your with your kids as being the single mom and that constant grind, and in your money and all these things. If we had a magic wand and everything happened perfectly between now and the end of the year, what would it look like?
Mm,
Let's just pretend for a while. Let's take our limiting beliefs and set them aside. Let's take what we've done in the past and forget about all of that. And let's just say best case scenario. And we created a little business plan that fired her butt up,
wow.
right? She was like, it just had little goals and little dreams in each of those four F's. And so she's like, well, this would be amazing, right? And she went from not making too much money to going over 300,000 by the end of the year in
Wow.
income. And and then now she's married. So they're wanting to have another child. All of those things started to come to pass. And so there is truth in, like, you can attract the right things into your life. If you're focused on what you don't want or where you're at or how frustrated you are because of your current situation, guess what? If you're focused on where you're at, that's where you stay. You
Hmm.
get more of it. If you're in debt, you focus on debt, you attract more debt. You're focused on how you're not meeting the right guy, you're going to meet more of the wrong guy, right? And
Yes.
so that's where we started. And then, like I said, by the end of the year, she was running and she was fired up. Now she's about to go over 500,000, and she will probably in the next couple months. But
Wow.
so I think that instead of just saying like, what hasn't been working, and what do I hate, and what am I frustrated with? Again, all that overwhelm. Again, when we're trying to get to the finish line here of our life, and there's all these hurdles in the way. That's what we're looking at, is the hurdle. It's right in our face. Instead, kind of take a step back, look at that finish line and say, okay, how can I get there? What would be the best possible situation? And then guess what? the best mentors will come into your life. The
Mm.
best business, teammates will come into your life. The best, your spouse will be more supportive, like all these wonderful things because you're attracting that. Does that make sense?
It
So
does.
it's almost that simple, you guys. Is like, again, we have to stop focusing on the frustration. We have to stop focusing on what's making us unhappy, and we can start to now focus on what we're grateful for. Because
Yeah.
there's always something good, right? There's always something good. Like, even if it's like for me every day, I'm writing my like little grateful, like, I'm grateful for the way my husband looked at me in the kitchen today. Or, I'm grateful for the way my little guy came up and just gave me that big old hug, or the funny face he made at me. And so there's always, if we can focus on the positive, we can focus on the good, and then we can focus on where we're going, we will start to gravitate towards that. And if we can, for a short, brief minute, take off that blinder of what we've done in the past, our challenges, what we're not good at, why this is so hard. A lot of times that's what vision is not looking at things with the lens of who we are today, but looking at it through the lens of the person that's we're becoming.
Yeah.
I think most of your listeners can agree with me that they're a different person today after doing a lot of self-development, listening to things like what you're putting out. They're different than they were a year ago. Well, guess what? You're going to continue to grow. So you're going to be different a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. There's a different, better version of you that's capable of different things. That's a better communicator. That's a better closer in sales if you're in sales. You know what I mean? That can accomplish bigger, better things. So can we start to look at that person and what that person with their magic wand would be planning for the next half of this year or the next 2 years? And then if we allow ourselves to dream again, if we allow ourselves to believe a little bit more, and we allow ourselves to say, this is scary, but you know what? This is possible. This is possible. And then make yourself a big, scary, stretchingly realistic, because you know what? It's probably been done, right? So if
Mhm.
you can do it too, if I can do it, hey, if I can do it, then you can do it. If this little girl from the trailer in Montana that knew nothing about business or leadership can be making multiple seven figures in her sleep, then you can too.
Yeah.
And so you got to just, and then I would encourage them at that point also, if they are in a funk and they don't know where to start, find a mentor, find someone who's where you want to be,
Yeah.
and just, be in service to them and try to add value to them any way possible and ask the right questions. And successful people want to help. And as long as you are coachable and you're not, but why should I do that? You can't,
Mhm.
you have to treat a mentor as it's like a gift from God.
Yeah.
And then when you do that and you apply it at the speed of instruction, they will continue to coach you and you will continue to grow. And so those two things is what I would tell the new person that's kind of trying to figure out where to start.